Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of Dylan Knows on a Tuesday night. That was Lady Gaga singing Alejandro. It was a song I heard earlier today. I was like, you know what? That'd be a pretty good song to start off the show with. So I figured, why not? So what's going on? Why am I here? Well, a few reasons. First of all, it is Dylan Knows. For those who don't know, Dylan Knows is my weekly video show, the greatest video show of all time. I am on every Sundays, usually 12:30 p.m. But I've been jumping around the schedule a lot lately just because of ways my co-hosts and stuff have worked out. So I do have a regular episode this upcoming Sunday, my Dylan Knows International, return of Dylan Knows International, I should say, with Bronwyn and a few other special guests I'm trying to line up right now. So if you like this, come on back for that. But what are we doing here now? Well, let's see. I'm a member of a group called the Snark Alex, and the Snark Alex, we met by watching the bad sci-fi films you see on Sci-Fi Channel all the time, and we started tweeting about them and live tweeting and joking about them, and we became friends via our live tweeting of these shows, and then it sprouted off into the Snark Alex world, and the rest is history, I guess. Well, we haven't really had a chance to do any snarking of sci-fi movies since they really haven't done too many of them, but Sharknado, which is their, right now, of all their movies, is their creme de la creme right now. Their third movie is premiering tomorrow, Wednesday, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So they're doing what they call Shark Week, or Sharknado Week, I should say. And my fellow Snark Alec, Kelly Toole, came up with the idea for Snark Week. Since there were, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 6 new sci-fi movies, and we've already seen 4 of them. So we're more than halfway through now. And Kelly thought, with all the myriad of different shows we have, that, we may as well do after shows and promote our other shows as well that we got coming up. So this past Saturday was when Snark Week started. Started with a bang with RoboShark and Mega Shark versus Colossus. And after that, Kelly and I did a special edition of The Snooze, which is a monthly show that I do with Tony Solo, who is presently on a boat somewhere in the world. And so Kelly decided to pinch it for that. And then Sunday was the premiere of Sharktopus versus Whale Wolf. And after that show was Kelly again, this time with his co-host Mel. They do Nurture and Support. It's a great podcast, a recommendation podcast. They did a special edition of that and talked about that movie. And then it got a little weird. I was supposed to do Monday, my Dylan Knows was supposed to be Monday. It was supposed to be a review of Three-Headed Shark Attack and the ZombieShark. But an interesting thing happened on the Saturday Snooze when Kelly and I were talking. Director Christopher Olin Ray, who directed Three-Headed Shark Attack and Mega Shark vs. Colossus, contacted us via Twitter and said, "Hey, man, I'd like to be on your show." And so I decided to change up some things. I was going to watch both films and then mostly focus on Three-Headed Shark Attack because that's the one he directed, and maybe mention ZombieShark afterwards. But due to timing and stuff like that, I decided, okay, I'm just going to do a show about Three-Headed Shark Attack because it's Christopher Olin Ray. I got him. It's kind of a get for me, a big get for me. And then I had a car problem where I blew a tire on the highway, and they say it took forever for them to pick me up because I didn't have a spare, get my new tire put on, and come back. And by the time I got back, Three-Headed Shark Attack was already about 30 to 40 minutes in. So I had a DVR and I was rewatching it and watching it, trying to catch up, but I just couldn't. So I had to run through some things, do stuff. So my interview with Christopher Olin Ray was, I still thought it was pretty successful when I basically was winging it and kind of in a panic. And so I said, you know what I'll do? I wasn't able to watch Zombie Shark because we were going to do the interview right after Three-Headed Shark Attack, so I was going to miss Zombie Sharks. So I said I would do it Tuesday since there was nothing on today. They reached the re-airing Sharknado, but there was nothing, no new premieres, so we could do this. So I figured, let me rewatch it tonight because I DVR'd it, and let me do my my after show. So this is what this is. This is my take on my review on Zombie Shark. And for those, my one viewer out there, if there's any other viewers who are watching me, you can send me any responses, your reviews via the Q&A or on Twitter at Holodil, at Dylan Proco, right there at the bottom. And I'll try to answer them. So without further ado, let's talk about Zombie Shark, shall we? Start off a little slow for me. I thought it's going to be one of these really dull, boring ones, and it's pleasantly surprised me, actually. I actually enjoyed it, and actually it's been kind of interesting. This Snark Week has been very interesting. The sci-fi movies have been much better than we're usually used to, and it's missing one of its big tropes, which is we always make the big joke that, you know, a helicopter is always, whenever you see a helicopter is going to get destroyed. In all four of the, seven movies, I forgot about Sharktopus. So there's actually 7 new movies this week. 2 Saturday, 1 Sunday, 2 Monday, 1 Wednesday, 1 Saturday, next Saturday, which we'll get to at the end of the show. So in the 5 previous films that we've watched, RoboShark, Mega Shark vs. Colossus, Sharktopus vs. Whale Wolf, Three-Headed Shark Attack, and Zombie Shark, there have been a total of 0 helicopters being destroyed. Now, there was a hybrid airplane helicopter thing that was destroyed in Mega Shark, I believe, but that doesn't really count because it's not your typical helicopter. And there were helicopters in RoboShark, but they didn't get destroyed. They survived. Space Needle didn't survive, but that's besides the point. But we already talked about that. So I come down here and sit down for Zombie Shark. To me, I started watching it, and it just started off really, really slow for me. The one thing that drew my attention right away was during the credits, I discovered it was directed by a woman named Misty Talley, which is great that you have more female directors out there getting their take on these crazy sci-fi films. So I thought it'd be an interesting take on it, but it started off really slow for me. And then, I don't know, somewhere it just changed and actually became a very good film. I actually enjoyed Zombie Shark immensely, despite the fact that the CGI is terrible, but we'll get into that in a little bit also. The main thing I really liked about Zombie Shark was the feel, the atmosphere of it. It was, I don't know if it was, but it was almost as if it was shot in a filter, which kind of gave it an autumn-esque glow, which, for those who've watched Dylan Knows or who know me, autumn is my favorite season of the year. Fall, if you want to call it fall, autumn is whatever. And this movie takes place in the fall down in the South, where, you know, it still can get occasionally chilly. But so there was just a feel that, you know, it was a very autumny type of shoot, you know, kind of that light glow to it, autumn fall glow to it. And you got more of I don't want to say it was tongue-in-cheek because it wasn't. RoboShark is tongue-in-cheek. This was trying to be serious while having some bits and pieces of humor in and out there, and it worked. And I'm actually, it's really hard to process my feelings on this. It's a good movie, and I like the fact that it was shot in this fall-esque atmosphere. The basic premise is basically it's a story about sisters. I got their names down here somewhere. Sophie and Amber. Amber's the oldest. Sophie's the youngest. Amber is the bad girl, the strong, tough girl, the girl who was the pain in the ass to her parents, the badass, talking back, was angry all the time. And then she got pregnant at the age of 15 and gave birth to a daughter who she gave up for adoption. 10, like she said her daughter was 10, so, and she had the at 15, so that made Amber 25 in this film. And then her younger sister Sophie was, of course, as it is usually in film families and in some real life families too, was the exact opposite. Sophie was the good girl, the straight A student, played basketball, and you get, and what made this a unique sci-fi film is you actually get take a look at the parents, and they're fairly normal parents. Unlike, they're not insane, crazy, mad scientist parents like we've seen in some of these other sci-fi films. These were actually just real parents, and you might have seen something in them yourselves if you have a sibling or whatever, where you had a similar situation where they loved their daughter, their oldest daughter Amber, but she was the tough one to handle and raise, whereas Sophie was so easy. And it has spread into Amber's now her 25th year, where she's not really paying much attention to her parents. She's avoiding them, I guess, for all intents and purposes, because of the situation that they have, and because, you know, Sophie was still young enough that she could, you know, be around there. But Sophie's now old enough that she can start being out on her own. So Amber somehow was able to convince her parents to let her come out to where, I guess they're down south a little bit further in the New Orleans, Louisiana, Mississippi area, to come down there and live and work and start a life down there away from her parents, but near Amber, so Amber keep an eye on her. And so Amber then becomes the overprotective big sister, because she promised her parents that she would look out for Sophie, because to them Sophie was their princess, their China doll, as it were, the one that they don't want anything bad to happen because she's never done anything bad in her life, type of thing. And Amber made the promise that she would try to protect her, while at the same time trying to give her a chance to extend her boundaries. Now, Amber is dating a really good guy, I guess, by the name of Jenner. And Jenner is the liaison between Amber and her parents. Maybe not the liaison is the proper word, it's the buffer, I should say, between Amber and her parents. He's trying to get Amber to reconnect with her parents, and at the same time is trying to keep the relationship between Amber and Sophie good as well. So he comes up with an idea for a camping trip. Not really camping per se, as in a tent out under the stars. It would be in this island called Plum Island, Red Plum Island, I think, actually what it was called, Red Plum Island. And they have a spa area, but the spa area really consists of some cabins, which are rustic, as it were. And they have water, sports, so you can go swimming, boating, parasailing, like that. And then there's like a little bar and a club area. And we'll learn about that in a little bit, because it's actually kind of funny. And in order for Jenner to afford to pay for it, he said it would be a group. Instead of just him and Amber going on a romantic weekend, he wanted to get a group to go here. And so he ends up, convincing Sophie to go along, and also their friend Bridget. Now, all three of those girls, Bridget, Amber, and Sophie, work at the same bar. And so Jenner convinces them to go with him to this place to have some fun during the weekend. However, they are unaware that there is a massive storm forming that's going to be there be around for a little while, and could cause some major trouble, flooding, stuff like that. And that's another aspect of what's wrong with the movie. I mean, the movie's good, but it has some issues as well, and we'll get into those in a little bit too. Um, so they go to the resort. I guess Jenner has a boat, or is able to get a boat of some kind, a motorboat, and takes the other all the three girls with him, ladies I should say, to the campground, and they get there. Kelly Toole says Red Plum sounds vaguely socialist to me. Yes, it does, doesn't it, Kel? So they get to the Red Plum Island, and they get to the resort area, and it's not exactly what they're looking for. While they're driving to where their location is, they see the north side of the island, which is where all the rich people live, and the marinas and the big, party areas and stuff like that. Where they're going is the old area that used to be the hub of that island, but things changed due to a scientific building that's off near the southern side of the island that has been mixing it up with some chemicals, stuff like that, and supposedly has been shut down, and so it's sort of killed the tourist trade there as everyone shifted over to this North Shore where new marina, new stuff was built, stuff like that. All the rich people moved over there. So they get to the southern shore, and they pull in and they see their cabin. It is very rustic. Except, what? We never get to see the inside of the cabin, which is a shame. I would have kind of liked to see what the inside looks like, but we didn't. I guess the director, Misty, only had, could just show the exterior, but not the interior, which is, when you're doing low budget type of filmmaking, is understandable, So they go to check in, and they discover this crazy homeless dude who's sitting behind the counter. And then we meet Lester. Lester is by far my favorite character in this movie. He's a big old jolly black guy who comes in, runs this spa resort area, and he can't be any younger than Amber. He's got to be about in his 20s, early mid 20s. Also, he's very young also, and he shoos the homeless guy away and puts on his cheery facade and gets them, talks to them about, what they can do, and answer their questions and help them out and be, very, jolly and happy, and takes them to his bar where he also plays the bartender, and there's nobody in there. It's just it's a big room, but there's a bar, but nothing's going on. There's nobody around. So they decide to make the best of it, and so they, Bridget, who is sort of I guess the proper term would be bitchy friend, decides that even though it's chilly out, because we've seen, we've heard that it is fall, that it's chilly, the water's cold, people are on the beach in jackets, stuff like that. She decides to go not skinny dip, she goes to go sunbathing. So we do get the gratuitous bikini shot, and Bridget's got a nice body, so it was nice to see that and flaunt it, though kind of an odd situation because it is fall and a little chilly. But she's trying to make the best of it because she really didn't want to be there. So while she's out there, she notices a group of people hovering around something, and she gets up and discovers there's a dead shark on the beach. And so she's going to go grab her friends who are in this bar just kind of chilling and say, hey, you got to check this out. So brings them over, and it's it's a dead shark, and it's a nice big chunk has been taken out of it. It looks like something big has bit it, maybe another shark, they don't know, but it's dead. It's really dead. So everyone starts trying to take pictures. The local law enforcement is trying to keep people away, but Jenner and the girls get in there to try to get some pictures and stuff like that. So Jenner gets really close to the shark's mouth, is like, hey, I'm going to take a picture. We can put it, give it to Lester to put up on his website, and try to get more traffic to the southern side of Red Plum Island, because Lester, he's trying to rebuild the southern side of Red Plum Island to make it more like the north side, get more people there, more tourism. So anything he can do to try to build that up would be helpful. So Jenner, being the good guy that he is, says, hey, I'll take a picture with the shark. Hey, maybe it'll draw some interest to come over and say, hey, I saw that shark there. Maybe there'll be some other ones out there in the water. Now remember, this shark is dead. I mean, we see the gaping wound in it and the blood and everything, and it's not moving. And then something happens, and Jenner's toast. Just like that, 24 minutes in, one of the main cast members who you think is going to be a main cast member is gone, eaten by the shark. And then the shark goes crazy again and attacks the sheriff and pulls the sheriff into the water, where we see bad CGI of a bunch of other sharks feasting on the sheriff's body and swimming away. And then we start seeing a bigger shark with a giant spear sticking out of its back, who's sort of hovering around in the water as well. So right now, now we've got interesting mystery going on. So they go back to Lester's place, and of course, actually they don't. They decide they want to get the hell off the island. So they go to Jenner's boat. Oh wait, Jenner's got the keys, and Jenner's inside a shark's body. He ain't coming back. So now they're stuck, and the sharks, or one of the sharks, starts attacking the boat. And eventually the remaining ladies get off and go back to Lester's place. They're trying to get in contact with Coast Guard or whoever, but they're unable to. They are able to reach a army guy by the name of Sergeant Cage. And apparently the science building that is supposedly deserted is not so deserted. And we learn very soon that they had been working on a vaccine or a virus or of some kind that would help people become stronger, regrow, sort of become like your own Wolverine for the most part, as well, regrow body parts or fight off infection better or heal quicker from injuries, all kinds of injuries, gunshots, knife wounds, bites, whatever you can think of. And they were tested on sharks, and something goes bad, and they were tested on the main shark named Bruce. Bruce the shark, Jaws, the Jaws joke. For those who don't know, the name of the fake shark in Jaws was Bruce. Okay. If you didn't know that, everyone should know that. Anyway, so Bruce is the one with the big spear in his back, and he is apparently, we discover, is like the ringleader. He's smarter than the other sharks. And so we begin to learn, because Cage goes and they discover what's actually been going on. Now, just real quick, I'm not doing this chronological order. I'm just sort of trying to jump everything together you need to know. There's a lot of running around and screaming and shark attacks that happen, and nothing that's real as important as the main gist of the storyline. So Sergeant Cage eventually makes his way to the island to help them out and ends up telling them the story about what happened, and that what we discover is that the virus that they had imprinted in Bruce gets transmitted via bites. So if Bruce bites something, the virus gets transmitted to that, be it he bites somebody, like a person, but doesn't swallow whole, but leaves the body, float in the water, and other sharks are attracted to it and they start eating it, they'll be infected that way. Or if Bruce attacks the shark, he gets attacked, they get the virus that way. So it works sort of like a zombie film, Kelly Toole's on a socialist rant right now on Twitter. It's pretty funny. So it's transmitted kind of like in Walking Dead. In The Walking Dead, we know that everybody's already infected. So when you die, regardless if you get bitten by a zombie or not, you're going to get turned into a zombie. But in a lot of the zombie films, the infection that turns you into the zombie does not turn you into a zombie unless you're bitten by a zombie. And that's the basic idea behind ZombieShark. So they took two staples, zombies that are very popular, shark movies that are very popular, and made ZombieShark. And actually, it does actually work. And so a lot of other stuff happens. More people die. they discover that the facility is still around, and we go to the facility, discover they've been trying to work on a vaccine to cure this infection so you don't turn into a zombie. And then people who are getting bitten by the sharks and are living and aren't getting devoured by the other sharks, they're turning into zombies also. So you've got regular zombies walking around the island, and you've got sharks that might have been attacked by other sharks trying to get to the food and died, are now zombies also. So they're able to attack more and transmit more, and they're able to survive more on land because they don't need to breathe water anymore. They can breathe regular oxygen. They don't need to use their gills anymore. So basically, you could say if the sharks had legs, they could probably walk around on the land now. The zombie sharks could, but they'll just settle for being able to beach themselves and still make it back out in the water and keep coming back and attacking people on land and stuff like that. So, that's basically the main gist of the storyline. There is, some spoilers coming up. I don't remember, and maybe anybody out there, maybe Kelly, if you're watching, or anybody out there who is watching, could you, I guess I missed this. How did Bridget die? Because she sort of disappeared in the second half of the movie, and I don't recall how she died. If anyone can remind me, please let me know, because she wasn't there at the end. So she must have died somehow. And then we as I said, we get shots back at the parents who are concerned for their daughters, and they're trying. The dad is trying to get out to save them, but can't because of the storms. And now that's where I get a few of my my nitpicks. So shall we talk about my nitpicks? Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about some nitpicks. First, but don't get me wrong. Once again, I like the film. I thought it was, for a bad sci-fi film, I thought it was very entertaining and a good combination of zombies and sharks, which people like a lot of. But here's the first few things. One, now does this whole thing take place in one day? Because I don't recall seeing it be night at all. They get to the island. Let's see if Kelly has an answer. Sorry, Kelly can't help me because she is dwelling on her earlier scene. Obviously, when she's in her bikini, nice body. Anyway, and by the way, the actress Becky Edwards, who played Bridget, actually retweeted one of my tweets I did about getting people to watch the show. So thanks, Becky. But did it just take place in one day? I mean, I don't recall nightfall happening. To me, it seemed like they get to the island, they meet Lester, they see the shark, Jenner gets eaten, the girls try to get away, they can't. Sergeant Cage comes, they start hunting down the sharks, they go to the science lab and destroy all the infected sharks except for Bruce, and you have to have a final battle between Bruce and Amber on the island because, and here's another spoiler warning, Bruce actually eats Sophie. So, I mean, I guess that's not really a nitpick because it just seems like an awful lot happened in a day. And it looked like it didn't, and I don't think it was real time either, because it might be ones I have to watch again, but it just seemed like everything happened in one day, you know? And once again, I guess not really nitpick, but I guess that's okay. But I mean, a lot of stuff happened in one day without it even looking like it was getting darker at any time. So, I mean, I don't think all that could happen in a 2-hour span, but it could. I don't know. I guess not really nitpick, is more of a question. Is like, okay, I guess. And what about the storm? They make a big deal at the beginning of the movie that the storm is coming, and then you see the parents and they see the map of the rain and stuff like that, and they can't get out to help the girls. I guess they're inland and they're on this island. The only thing I can think of is that the storms seem to be centered more on the mainland and not the islands per se. So it was bright and sunny for the whole movie. There was no threat of rain. And it gets mentioned on the island. Oh yeah, there's a big storm coming. And yet, when we get to the parents, it's pouring down rain, thunder and lightning, and just like hurricane type, rain is happening. And you cut back to the island, and nothing is going on. The ocean is not rough. It's not raining. It's not dark in the skies. There's no thunder or lightning. And you'd think that in a movie called ZombieShark, you might want to have that atmosphere since you made such a big deal about it happening. Now, I understand that you might have mentioned it so that the parents couldn't go out and get their kids, charter a boat, go out and get them and leave, and that's the end of the movie. They needed to go and they needed to face everything on their own. I get that, but if you're going to make the storm be a big event and make it seem like it's going to hit Red Plum Island also, make it hit Red Plum Island, especially during the battles. I mean, that would give it a little bit more of a dramatic feel. The thunder, the lightning, the heavy rain, and you're fighting a zombie shark. I mean, or even zombies for that matter, of the people walking around have been bit. How great is that? I mean, that would have been fantastic also. Again, I do understand. Yes, it's a low budget sci-fi film. It probably went direct to sci-fi or direct to DVD or whatever you want to call it, and that's it. I mean, and that's good. Good for Missy Talley, because she did a fairly good job of, directing what she could with what she had and the budget she had. It just seems rather odd that you make a big deal about the storm and don't do it. Now, the other thing also that bothered me was the CGI. Now, again, I understand low budget sci-fi film, but we've had other low budget sci-fi films, like say a Mega Shark versus Colossus or a Three-Headed Shark Attack, which maybe they have a slightly bigger budget since that's done by the Asylum, which is a fairly, good production company. But still, the special effects are still not on par with stuff you see in the movie theaters, like in Avengers or Star Trek or Star Wars or anything like that. But, you still get a pretty good CGI. This was just terrible. I mean, the sequences of the underwater sharks when Bruce is supposedly forming more zombie sharks, having them, they look like little baby sharks. And there's a bunch of scenes where a bunch of little baby sharks are blah, 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 blah. It looks like they're eating something. Blah, 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 blah. They're eating something. And they look like tadpoles. I mean, they're about that big. And then they show up and they're the giant sharks that you see, you're used to seeing. And then just seeing, just the fin in the water. It's like, it's just a triangle in the water. And then, there's the mouth, and then it goes back in the water, and then you can watch it. You watch it, and it went under the water, obviously, but it just goes woof. As they say. I just won't always do that. Kevin Spacey, usual suspect. Never mind. I understand low budget sci-fi, blah, blah, blah. But still, you'd think maybe they could have done a little bit more. Because, sometimes Bruce, they made him look like a real shark. So I guess those are really the little two little nitpicks I had about that. Yeah, there are some funny sequences. One that jumps out at me most is and they didn't really utilize the fact that they turned humans into zombies. The zombies, there was a couple sequences. There was the this is an awesome scene. I'll get into where I was going to go. Lester, near the end of the film, gets a bunch of the locals to come around and start attacking the zombie sharks, but they also start attacking the zombies that are on the land also. So he does the whole big Braveheart speech, which is great. It's hilarious. And then they go out there and they're fighting the sharks and the zombies at the same time and chopping them up and stuff like that. And he supposedly thinks he's killed one of the sharks. He's like, yeah, I got you. He puts his machete in it and thinks he got it. And then the shark he misses the brain because the brain's really hard to find in the shark. And the shark gets away and ends up jumping up and biting the hand off of one of Lester's group of people who came to help him. And it's just a shot of his hand. He's going, ah, and it's like dribbling out like syrup. It's like, bloop, 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 bloop. It's like, oh man, I'm sorry. Why'd you take his hand? That was just he's just bloop, 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 bloop. It was hilarious. That was funny. Yeah, it wasn't funny for the character. I know he lost his hand, but just the filming of that just seemed very B-movie-esque. And then the other one was when they're making their way to the science lab and they break in and they're walking across the big bridge that goes to the science lab because, of course, you have to have a big bridge because the science lab is out in the water. So you got to get a big bridge across on that. The zombie is following them. A zombie human is following them and starts, coming after them. And so Amber is doing something. I forget what she's doing, or she dropped something. I'm not going to remember what she was doing, but she's bending down to pick something up or whatever. And she doesn't see the zombie coming after her. And then Cage and Sophie are like, Amber, look out. She turns around. The zombie's like, ah. And then the shark comes flying and eats his head. Because the zombies are regular zombies. You kill the head, you kill the zombie. And so the shark just flies out of the air, eats the zombie's head, and then the neck comes down and goes boop, like that, That was pretty funny also. Is there anything else that I could think of? It was just, in the end though, I mean, it's still a good film. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Was it my favorite one of all of them? Probably not. And the other thing I noticed, and sorry, I just went on a completely different tangent. I just saw this because I was thinking through all the other movies that came out this week. The one other thing I noticed a lot, I said this earlier, is that we haven't seen as much helicopter violence. But what we have seen is, and I guess it's due to what's happening with our time, that social media is becoming a huge part of these movies now. RoboShark, the biggest thing that he started conversing with one of the main characters via Twitter and emojis. And they talked about, and there's sequences where she's texting people and you see the text pop up on the screen, and she's tweeting people and you see the tweets pop up on the screen. And then in real Twitter, there is a RoboShark who comes up and starts retweeting all your stuff and conversing with you. And then on Sunday, you have Sharktopus versus Whale Wolf. And once again, you hear people comment in the movie, Sharktopus has his own Twitter handle, which once again, the real Sharktopus Lives pops up and starts retweeting you again during that film. And talking to you and commenting with you. And just more and more discussions about social media. And I guess because that's the times. I mean, everybody is on their phones. Everybody has social media on their phones. And so you've got to show that in the films because, you're not going to have people just sitting around twiddling their thumbs anymore because that's not what happens. Or in discussions with people, unfortunately, conversation really is limited now when you're out and about. Whenever you go to a store or the movies or like the zoo or anywhere, you walk around and people are on their phones constantly. That's fine, I guess. But look, you're at the zoo, for crying out loud. Look around. Look at the animals. I use mine to take pictures. I use my phone to take pictures, and I check the time because I don't wear a watch. Um, and that's really about it. I send all my pictures when I get home, when I'm sitting down relaxing and sending stuff, you know. But I guess because it's the times, you're starting to see more and more social media. And once again, social media pops up again in this film, and is mentioned again in this film. And tomorrow with Sharknado 3, I think we're going to see some helicopter deaths, which we haven't seen in a while. And we'll probably see some more social media stuff. And I guess, and that's not really a nitpick. It's just something that I noticed, is that you're starting to see a lot more social media starting to make its way now into these movies, the more recent movies that are being made, whereas ones that we've been watching the previous years where social media might not have been as prevalent is not as prevalent in those films. But now that it is, it's prevalent in the films again. Was there anything else I wanted to discuss? In the end, let me just say it was a great film. I enjoyed it. I like the atmosphere, the building up that it's autumnish, and the way that it's shot in this sort of. The best thing I say is it's like a glow. It's like an autumnal glow, as it were. And I like that, and I think it worked out really well. I just wish the special effects were better. The acting I'm not too concerned about because the acting is usually pretty bad in these movies anyway. And it wasn't bad, but I mean, Sophie's line delivery was very mechanical. And really, she was the only one whose lines were fairly mechanical. Bridget and her bikini, she was, did a pretty good job of being the bitchy friend. Lester being the happy jolly guy who's crazy at the same time. That was pretty good too. I mean, pretty good. And then you've got Cage, who once again probably is the second worst offender in the delivering of lines, but he's trying, I guess, to go for the stoic type of soldier of fortune type. Not soldier of fortune really, but a soldier type. And but he's not that bad. It just, to me, Sophie's delivery was wooden in a lot of aspects, and the rest of the actors were fairly good. Just, I mean, not great, and you don't expect great acting and stuff like that. I said the directing the film, there was only a few minor things that made me scratch my head, and that pertained more to the CGI and the fact that they kept coming back to the body of the sheriff while he was getting eaten alive. I mean, it starts off with, after he's been eaten, he's in one of the shark's bodies, but then you see his headless body float in the water, and then you see the little, as I said, the little tadpole sharks eating it, and then it cuts back to, okay, now he doesn't have a neck or arms, but he still has a torso. And then there's like another sequence, and they cut back to where the body is now, and now it's a lot smaller, because you go underneath, you see the sharks doing that again. So that one, that might be not great directing. Also, in the very beginning scene with the woman who is out in the water and just staring at the sunset or whatever, and then sees the shark coming towards her, and she's starting to freak out, and she's not heading back. Something drives in front of her and kills it. We don't know what that is. And then the shark comes and eats her anyway, so it doesn't matter. But we never find out what that was. Are you to assume that it was a jet ski? Well, yeah, sure, but you just ran over a shark. Wouldn't you stop to see if this woman was okay? You wouldn't just keep driving on, would you? Well, you might. I don't know. So I think Misty did a pretty good job with the directing. And once again, I love the fact that it was a female who directed it. We don't get enough females directing films, and it's good to get a start somewhere. And you hone your craft, and eventually maybe you can break into the big league. So keep at it, Misty. I really, as I said, I had no problem with the way you handled the directing with a few little key things here and there, nothing major. But the CGI needs a lot of work. And that's fine. CGI was low budget sci-fi. I understand. So you do what you can with what you got. So I think on that note, I think I am done discussing ZombieShark. I want to thank you guys for watching and hope you enjoyed it. We still have 2 more films to go in Snark Week. Tomorrow is the big one, the main event. 9 o'clock is Sharknado 3, Oh Hell No, which is going to be huge. I guarantee you it'll trend very quickly. It'll be one of the biggest social media events on Twitter since last year, Sharknado. So you're probably going to see a lot of Sharknado tweets and a lot of Sharknado stuff. But the Snarkalks are the only people, the only group that's doing a after show of Sharknado. And tomorrow's after show is one of our other shows. Is Mike Belinsky, Official Pagan, has his fireside chat. Let me see. I'm going to try and get this so I can get this right to see who his special guest is. So right after Sharknado 3, Mike is going to do his fireside chat. Let me see if I can find him. Hold on 1 second. Search. There he is. And his special guest is going to be Carl Kevorkian will be co-hosting with him, and I think he's going to get a bunch of other people to come on. You might see Kelly Toole on there as well. Mike, I'll probably be skipping tomorrow because it's been a long week, and so far it's only 2 days in, but it's been really long. Well, okay, Monday was really long, and today wasn't so bad, but the heat subsided, so it should be better. But I'm gonna opt out on fireside chats, Mike, but I will be watching probably, and enjoy yourself, have fun, and stay tuned for that after Sharknado 3. So it'll be around 11:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time-ish, and then Snark Week ends on Saturday with the sci-fi premiere of Lavalantula, which is directed by Mike Mendez, who directed Big Ass Spider, which was a great film. So we're thinking it's going to be about the same with this. And it also reunites 3 members of the original Police Academy, Steve Guttenberg, Michael Winslow, and Leslie Easterbrook. So it should be fun to see a mini Police Academy reunion. Should be fun to see that. And just, fire-breathing spiders, you can't go wrong with that. So I will be live tweeting that. And after that show, around 11:15 p.m.-ish, 10:15 Central, Kelly Toole, again, the man, the legend, will be co-hosting Bring Out Your Geek with the Bring Out Your Geek creator, Jeans. So 2 of them will be discussing Lavalantula at around 11:15 p.m. Eastern Time, 10:15 Central. And then Snark Week will be done. Maybe for another year. We'll see what happens next year. But so stay tuned for both of those after shows. Once again, I apologize for not doing this after show yesterday, but I felt my interview with Christopher Olin Ray, he's a fantastic guy, he's a great guy, and that's a big coup for a little podcast show like I have, that I got him to do it. I was very happy to fit him into what he needed to get the interview, and so I was very happy with it. You can find that on my YouTube page. Just go type in Dylan Lang, search Dylan Lang, and you'll see it really quickly. Anything else? Once again, let me remind you, Sunday, my regular scheduled show, Dylan Knows, will be on 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll be Dylan Knows International's back after a 2-month hiatus. Bronwyn is back, and we're going to have some special guests on and just talk about whatever. And then I'm taking a little 2-week hiatus. My vacation is the first week of August, and it's a Sunday to Sunday rental. So the first Sunday of August, I will be driving down to the Outer Banks, and the second Sunday of August, I'll be driving back. so I will not be able to do my show. And the Wi-Fi down at North Carolina and at the Outer Banks is terrible. So I'm not going to do a show down there. So Sunday is my last show for 2 weeks, and then I'll be back as we head on down the road to the Giant 100, which is coming up sometime in September. I'll have my 100th episode, so fantastic for that. So for Kelly Toole, who is the mastermind of Snark Week, this is Dylan Lang. Dylan knows, as it were, finishing up his chat about his after show about ZombieShark. If you can get a chance, they'll probably be rerunning it sometime this week. If you can, definitely check it out, or look up on the guide and DVR it and watch on your own time. It's well worth it. So on that note, I'm going to say have a pleasant evening, and I'll see you on Sunday. And don't forget, Sharknado 3 tomorrow, Fireside Chats afterward with Mike Belinsky, Official Pagan. And then Saturday, Lavalantulas. After Lavalantulas after show will be Jeans and Kelly Toole and Bring Out Your Geek. So enjoy, have fun, and be safe.